It was an interesting time during E3 2009, back when The Last Guardian was first revealed. Nobody would have thought back then that we wouldn't see another peep of the game for another 6 years, but boy howdy back then, that teaser trailer sure did get me mildly intrigued, I guess. And after years of delays, technical difficulties, and the departure of Fumito Ueda, The Last Guardian was nearing Half-Life levels of development hell. But would you know it finally came out! And I barely ever played it, really. So, you know, I'm gonna review it just as an excuse to play it, really. Simple as that. Simple as that. I've gotta say though, it still feels pretty surreal holding it in my hand, you know? Like I never thought I would, you know? Like it's a lost artifact that my mere human hands shouldn't be allowed to touch. Don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, whatever, on with the review. The story in The Last Guardian is a tale as old as time. The story of a boy and his pet. From the Iron Giant to Titanfall 2, this isn't something that we haven't seen before. A boy and a giant monster must team together to save the day, or find some kind of MacGuffin, or in this case, explore and escape this mysterious land. A bloody beautiful land as well. I've gotta say, the scenery is fantastic. And I will say that the bond between the player and Trico is really well done. Maybe it's because I have dogs of my own, so it hits a little bit close to home, but you really begin to care about Trico as you find him in pain, or having to calm him down after a stressful experience, or watching him play in the water. Much in the same way, Trico becomes frightened whenever you're the one in danger, and at certain parts in the game even overcomes his own fears in order to save you. The Last Guardian is a really moving story about trust and friendship between boy and beast. It's a story that transcends language. It's one we can all recognise and resonate with. Without any words or hints, you learn through bonding with Trico what he isn't willing to do, what he's afraid of, and how to comfort him. In that sense, it handles storytelling really well, in that same kind of minimalist, designed by subtraction way that made Ico so well known. Everything else is a bit of a mixed bag, unfortunately. So one of the main complaints about The Last Guardian is the AI. More specifically, Trico doesn't always act on command, sometimes he does his own thing. And I get what they were going for, I do, and I still kind of defend the idea. I mean, after all, he does act just like a dog. Eerily so, in fact. Whenever Trico finds food, he's incredibly wary and sometimes takes a long time to eat it. Just like my dogs.
Tyler, no, hey, what are you doing? Tyler, look, Tyler, what's that? Tyler, what is that? Tyler, what is that? Come on. Oh, eat the stupid.
He's incredibly bad at catching food, just like my dogs. And yeah, sometimes you'll want him to come over to you or move to another part of the environment, and he won't. But I can't pretend that my dogs are any better.
Bryn, come on. Come here, Bryn. Come here, Bryn. Come on. Come here, Bryn. Yeah, alright, okay, yeah, okay. Alright, okay, yeah. Come here. Yeah, Bryn, come here. Don't yawn at me. Come here. Come here, Bryn. Bryn! 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 Come here. Come here. There we go, Bryn. Tyler. Come here, Tyler. Tyler. Come here. Come here. Oh, wow. Wow, okay. You're actually nice. That's fun. No, don't. No, Tyler. Come here. Don't just. Oh my god, how rude can you be? So yeah, at first I liked the idea of a giant dog with the AI of a giant dog. But then I got a little bit farther on in the game and my god, my progress became very, very slow. Whether it's because Trico just wouldn't walk over to the right spot, or lift his head high enough, or stop looking at the bloody wall, or whether he actively pushes you off the edge, or he doesn't give you enough time to get clear footing and jump off of him, or you just fall off, it becomes hard to convince yourself that the game isn't actively trying to prevent you from getting anything done. So many things in this game should be so bloody simple, but they're not. They take way too long, and it feels like you have to forcefully manipulate the game to get to do what you want, and it doesn't feel good. It's just not rewarding, really. I mean, like I said, I get the idea, I like the AI thing, it's a cool idea, but seeing it in action and experiencing it firsthand, it's something else, I tell you. Another hindrance in the game is the camera.
Sometimes you have no idea what's going on. There are times in the game when Trico's doing something really cool or interesting just off camera that I really want to see, but I'm battling against the camera to get a good look. And the camera just won't stay in the same place for too long at once, so it'll start to drift away as though the cameraman's gotten bored or something, and I don't know. Also, the controls are kind of annoying. They're very sluggish and clunky. Or at least I think so. I don't really know what those words mean, to be honest. It feels like you're controlling him walking through custard, constantly walking into walls and getting stuck on things, and he's just slower than molasses. It just never really feels quite right, and putting that together with a camera that never lets you look around quite right, and Trico who never lets you get around quite right, you just have a game that doesn't feel quite right. The frame rate too is pretty bad. In fact, I don't think I've played a game on the PS4 that runs worse than this. Barely ever does it maintain 30 frames, which is very weird for a game that likes to constantly show off these giant environments with so many things going on. From what I've heard, it isn't nearly as bad on a PS4 Pro, but I'm not playing it on a PS4 Pro. I'm playing it on the regular amateur PS4, and I'm not going to pretend that it isn't a constantly noticeable issue that interferes with what would otherwise be a pretty immersive game. Plus, I've also heard frame rate issues from people who do have a PS4 Pro, so I don't know what to believe. Aside from that, the presentation's fantastic. Some parts of the game definitely look better than others, but I can forgive that seeing as it took a decade to come out. The game still looks really nice when it wants to, and the score is used in just the right way to make me feel emotional and gooey in just the way the game wants me to, because it's a game about a big dog, so of course I'm gonna get emotional and sappy and it's gonna make me cry. Overall, The Last Guardian it's okay. Somewhere deep down there is a good game, or at least a good story, but it's buried in what I can only describe as one big test of patience. And yeah, it's great from a technical standpoint that you have such a lifelike AI that works as its own separate entity and doesn't always do what you want. But at the same time, in a puzzle story game, that's not really a good thing. Imagine if in Uncharted 4, in the Madagascar driving section, someone else was controlling the car, like you couldn't control where to go, and you just had to hope to God that they go the right way eventually. The game's puzzles can be fun, but the challenge doesn't come from figuring out the solution. The difficulty instead comes from manically forcing the game to allow you to pull it off. What you're seeing here is me playing a game that doesn't want to be beaten. It especially doesn't want you to get the trophy for beating the game in 5 hours. I don't know how anyone's supposed to do that. Either way, I don't know. I mean, I really want to like The Last Guardian, and I still do. I can see the magic underneath trying desperately to shine through. I can't deny that I haven't been able to get this game out of my mind since I finished playing it. The bond between the player and Trico is done so effectively, and there's a lot of moments in this game that resonated with me and will no doubt stick with me. The ending especially. So it's difficult, really. I mean, despite the game being a bit of a technical mess at times, it really knew how to strike a chord with me regardless. I'm super conflicted on this frustrating mess of a game that has also captured my heart, so I'll just say this. If you have a PS4 Pro or can look past a mediocre, sometimes atrocious frame rate, I say give it a go, because that's really the worst offense of the whole thing. Otherwise, I don't know, look up a walkthrough, watch a friend play it, or go play with a real dog.
Jesus!